Let's understand how to work with Python and SQL Server together. Let's do it carefully step by step. A simple, straightforward process and very useful for us. Either you are into Snowflake, Fabric, Power Apps, Power BI, or data engineer, any of these cloud technologies, our example today will work. Let's get started. Let's understand slowly step by step how to work with it. What is that? Python with SQL Server or SQL database access with Python. Let's see. Using Python, we can access Microsoft SQL database and perform day-to-day operations, DDL, DML, select, etc. Main purpose of using Python, let's see. For SQL databases, main purpose, there are two main activities here. To mash up or handle big data and perform transformations. Here we are learning how to do the integrations. If you are looking for what is Python actually, I have a separate video. We'll be sharing with you what is Python, what exactly it is, and why we need it, and why it is like a vaccine in our resume along with SQL. Yes, my resume has two doses, dose 1 SQL, dose 2 Python. Why? That's a different story altogether. Here we are learning purpose of Python for SQL databases. Yes, here it is. We know, we know, we can host databases either in on-prem, non-cloud, or cloud, right? Today we are understanding both Python with Microsoft SQL database non-cloud and Python with Azure SQL database cloud. We'll see both. Let's understand the implementation process. Firstly, step number 1. Firstly, the prerequisites. I'll write like this. Install Anaconda. What is this? It's a software. It's an open source. Open source to operate with Python. To write Python programs, Python scripts. What is that? Anaconda Navigator, we call it this one. You already have it with you, just ignore. If not, you create a new one. Let me show you here the anaconda.com. Okay, this is a website. Any OS will work. Just go with the free download, this one. I'll copy this download link. Once you install Anaconda software, launch the app. It's a free app, you launch it. Then launch Jupyter Notebook. What is this? It is an IDE or an interface to operate on Python or to create notebooks, to create Python notebooks or Python scripts, we call it. Okay, so here are the prerequisites. Install, launch app, then something called Jupyter Notebook. Once you launch Jupyter Notebook, then one more thing. Install SQL Server. This first paragraph. Second paragraph. Install SQL Server from our website sqlschool.com. Downloads as HTML. You already have it with you, it's fine. If not, you please install it. Okay, next. Also run the given SQL file. You'll be having one SQL file. You run the given SQL file. Also install SSMS tool from the same above link. Let me just put them in order. You already have it, it's fine. And launch SSMS. Connect to your SQL server and run the given SQL file. This installs one source database. Okay, so I'll just put this way: the prerequisites, backend, front end. This is for the backend activities, yellow box. This is your yellow box. Okay, next, to make it clear, easier for future reference, this is the yellow box. Blue box is there, right? This is for the blue box, right side. Okay, like this. Next. So yellow ready, blue ready. What about this one? Leave it to me. Leave it to me for some time. Now what we do? Here it is. Installation process. It is commands in Jupyter Notebook. Let's see how it is. Firstly, launch Anaconda software. Where it is? This one. In Anaconda software latest version, this is a platform to work with Python. You have two different flavors: Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook. Any one is okay. Usually for programming, we use Python programming, we use Jupyter Lab, and this is for data analysis in general. Anything is fine. You just simply launch it. You can practice the same activities even in Spider or other extensions of Anaconda. So these are like extensions, like Chrome browser, multiple extensions. Okay, here we go. Click on launch. Once you launch, then new Python 3 notebook. Python 3 is the latest version. What is that again? Anaconda software, Jupyter extension, Python notebook, Anaconda software and Jupyter extension, Python notebook. I'll call it as SQL DB access with Python. Give some friendly name. Okay, so for what we did, Anaconda software, Jupyter notebook, now Python script. Firstly, we need to install one PYODBC. There is something called PIP. What is this? Here, Python package installer, we call it. Okay, package installation, we call it. And here, we have to install one package called PYODBC package. This one, PYODBC. We need to install the software first, or install this one, run it. Control Enter or run. Anything is fine. Once we get this content ready, once we install it, then we need to import. Install first, import next. Last final step. What's our requirement again? Our requirement, access SQL database from Python. How do we do that? Let's see. Yes. Let's go to our SQL server from SSMS tool. This is the database you'll be having access to. So right now you see 4 tables. Okay, you'll see 4 tables. I'm going to take one particular table called customer data table, like this. Our local server ready, database ready, table ready. Let's take server and database first. Let's see how to establish connection. Do some DDL operations, DML operations, then retrieval operations. How to establish connection? This is the command. A variable called connection variable equal to pydbc dot connect. This is a function. Driver for SQL server, server name, whatever server name you have, database name, password, trust connection. We'll take password separately next example today. For now, this one, let's put this way. Trust connection, yes, means Windows authentication. As if like connecting to our SQL server from SSMS tool, no password needed, right? It's automatically taken from Windows. Same thing here also in Python, we are understanding how to establish connection to our local SQL server using Windows authentication. Then what if there is a username password? Can be your question. We'll get it in next few minutes, next 5 to 10 minutes from now. Once your connection is ready, then we need to create a cursor variable. I repeat, import, then connect, then create a cursor for performing the operations one by one. What does it mean? Let's take an example how to create a table. See here, connection first, cursor next, dot execute, create table. I'll say SQL school test table. Initially, this SQL school test is not available in our database. So select from table name, I get error. How to create it? Using Python, let's see. Create table, table name in double quotes, execute function, cursor dot execute and commit. Okay, next. You run it only once. You run it only once. If you try to run it again, you get error message. Run it only once. If you try to run it second time, you may get error. Say already exist in the database. Then what we do? Here it is. We have to insert data. This one, cursor dot execute. Cursor dot execute, insert into table name values like this. And commit. Why only commit? What about starting a transaction? Transaction starts automatically. It is implicit transaction. Remember, it is implicit transaction. Transaction starts automatically. Manually, we need to commit or roll back. Click execute like this. What we are doing? We are simply performing one DDL statement. Run it only once. DML statements. Now finally select from table name. That's it. I repeat again. What we are learning here? Number one, Anaconda software. Then Jupyter extension. Auto install with Anaconda software. Then Python notebook. Before that, SQL Server you install, SSMS tool you install, database you install, product database, or you may take any database of your choice. Then for actual integration, means communication between Python and SQL, what we do? Firstly, install PYODBC, install package, PYODBC package, then import it, then connection, then cursor. Using cursor, perform DDL, DML, select, etc. So this is the actual process. For example, cursor dot execute, select from table name. Okay, observe carefully here. Or other one. Other one, for example, here cursor dot execute, select from table name, cursor dot fetch one. Cursor dot fetch one. You get first row. See here, you get first row. Same way, this one, you get first row like this. Now, cursor dot execute fetch all. This is how we do. If row exists, you print it. If row exists, you print it like this. These are the values I inserted: 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Next. So far we learnt table creation, data insertion and retrieval. Now what if, and you can do updates and deletes as well. Now our requirement. What if you would like to read data from a table? What we do? An existing table we installed earlier. Cursor dot execute customers underscore data. This one. Here table exists. Everything is fine. Customer dot data. How to read this table from Python platform, Jupyter notebook. How to do that? Let's see. Cursor dot execute, select from table name like this. Run. We are able to get the data in this way. Okay, next. In this way, Observe carefully. This is how we get the data. Remember, we cannot expect table. Okay, we cannot expect table here. We just get a list of rows. We get a list of rows. Now, one thing in data engineering and in Python programming, we hear a lot about something called data frame. Okay, here it is. How to get the data frame? Let's see. To get some structured data frame, instead of printing like this, we have option in this way. Here it is. What is PD? Let's understand. Here, our requirement, we are creating something called data frame. For creating data frame, we need to import one library called pandas. This is a concept. I repeat, by default, Python gives us list, a regular list, like a text document. You want it in a formatted way. You want it in a simple to use way. We have pandas. We say pandas data frame. Data frame equal to SQL query and connection like this. Print data frame in this way. Okay, what is that again? We are printing the data. First you are creating data frame and printing data frame. Observe carefully. Now once we have this data frame ready, how it looks, let me first execute it. Okay, let me just execute it first. Let's wait for a few moments. Let me execute, and then you'll see like this, in this way. Here it is. An organized structure. Data frame means an organized structure. So we are using this connection, CONN connection we are using, and creating a data frame like this. So what we are learning now, how to create data frame for further analysis or further data loading and other activities. This is how we work with local SQL Server. Then what about Azure SQL Server? For Azure SQL Server, we have similar style: import, server name, database name, Azure username, password. This is the server name for Azure. Whatever Azure SQL Server you have, provide your Azure SQL Server name, database name, username and password. Whatever password you configured with Azure SQL Server, provide it. With the pyodbc.connect, same earlier function, connect driver equal to plus driver odbc, server equal to tcp colon server name colon port semicolon port equal to 1433. For Azure SQL Server, port is always 1433. Database name, username, password. With connection cursor like this. Cursor dot execute. Select top 10, top 3, whatever from customer data. So cursor dot execute. Okay. We can say directly cursor equal to, see here. We can do this one, cursor equal to con dot cursor, or cursor dot execute, this one with con dot cursor as cursor. Cursor equal to con dot cursor, or with con.cursor cursor as cursor. Execute fetch one and keep on fetching the next one. Fetch one always gives you next row, next row, next row in this way, and print it. So here what we are learning, first example, how to read data from local SQL server, whereas here how to read data from Azure SQL server, and data would be printed like this, something like this. I said only first three rows, right? In this way, what three columns? Row 0 and row 1. These actually these represent the columns like this. You want more columns, row square brackets in this way. We can do like this. Okay, with this information, what we learned, we understood now how to bring data from SQL server into Python for our day-to-day Python activities. If someone asks me like, do we need to remember everything? If you would like to use Python in your resume and for our job work, we need to remember the format. In general, exceptions, like for example, you're actively involved in ETL with Databricks, Azure Databricks, your user interface there. But concept remains same. So practice the items carefully if you can, if you have time. First server tool database, then Anaconda Jupyter Python notebook, then integration, PYODBC and import PYODBC. From connection, connect function, then cursor, connect function, this one, then cursor, then execute. What to execute? The DML, DDL operations. This is a concept. So ODBC, import, connection, and simplified format like this. This is a simplified format. Connect function, driver, server, database, username, password, or trust connection. With this, we'll stop for now. Any questions, do let me know. Glad to assist you.